Let's get scratching.
I'm really tired, dude. I really don't want to be streaming right now, to be honest. But Square's actually early enough that I can watch it for once, with my weird sleep schedule and with the weird timings on things, because of time zone differences. So here I am, watching another one. The two big series I want to see more from are Final Fantasy and Life is Strange. Still don't really know how to feel about True Colors yet. We just kind of have to wait and see until the game comes out, I guess. But the next big, like Final Fantasy is what I'm really interested in the future of right now. Because I really like 7 Remake. I liked it a lot. Like I actually started playing the games with 13 when 13 was relatively new-ish, and that's a game that a lot of people criticized that are like were really like long-time fans of Final Fantasy. But since I wasn't that at that point, I was still in high school. I was just getting into JRPGs that don't have an action element like Kingdom Hearts does. So I've played all the Final Fantasies from 13 and onward, well, all the main ones. And like went back and played bits and pieces of the other ones, but I've beaten all of them from 13, like 13, 1, 2, 3, 15, the DLC for 15, except for Comrades. 7 Remake. Not into grade yet because I don't have a PS5 yet. So we've got both 16 that's been announced and more stuff for Remake. For Remake Part 2. So I don't expect it, but I would imagine there'd be less work that they'd need to do, right? For Remake 2, because I've already done Remake 1. They've got that foundation already. They just need to build upon that. So maybe we could... It's not out of the realm of possibility we'll get Remake 7 Remake Part 2 information. And there's some kind of trailer or like a proper name for it even. I'm going to switch over now because they've just got this countdown. And I'm also a big fan of Life is Strange. So yeah, True Colors, made by the guys that made Before the Storm, which at first glance I was like not really all that into Before the Storm. I was like, it's made by different people, it doesn't have the time travel mechanic, I didn't really care. When I actually played it, I got surprisingly into it. And you know, True Colors is made by the same Life is the secondary studio for Life is Strange. So it's not Don't Nod who made 1 and 2. It's the studio that made Before the Storm are making True Colors. So hopefully that game ends up alright, and we might see some more info on that. But yeah, Final Fantasy 16 and 7 Remake Part 2 are what I'm hoping for.
Here, and I'm back as your host of Square Enix Presents. Today we have
and they have a bunch of other franchises, of course, but those are the two biggest ones that, for me, personally.
From our studios across the globe. So let's kick off with the
that heart reminds me a lot of the old YouTube gaming logo. But this style is very like Persona 5-like, but also like very comic book-like. It's really cool. Not just Montreal, that's the Deus Ex team, I think. I might be wrong.
Do you know what a birthright is, Peter? Something that's a part of you.
So is this more Avengers stuff, or is this a different game?
Gardeners of the Galaxy?
What? No, Rocket. So I let Groot fill out the paperwork.
Oh, good. They changed the music. Thank you very much, Square.
So we got fined.
And we still get proper audio from the actual voice acting from the characters.
Need a plan.
So yeah, this could very well be either a new game or Avengers at this point. But it's... even if it's a new game, it looks like it probably plays like Avengers.
You want monster? I'll show you monster! No! We disrobe!
Keep your pants on.
Although, it could be used as a distraction.
They're seeing how blatantly like some of this stuff it wants to look like the movies, but it doesn't quite because like they don't have the same actors and it's not a part of the MCU. It's just kind of. It does feel a little bit like it's
Gamora, no killing teammates. That's who. It's literally in your
I don't know how to explain it.
No such commitment.
I'm a little off about it. Like if it was totally different from how the movies look and it looked more like some of the comics or something, or some totally different designs, then I'd be totally fine with it. But it looks like just close enough to the movie, but just different enough that it looks a little off. Same with like the Telltale. Yeah, same with the Telltale Guardians game. Same with Avengers. So this this other music they replaced here is actually really good. Yeah, it's actually a new game. Huh.
No, of course I will. I'll call you.
Hi, my name is Olivier Proux, senior producer here at Eidos Montreal.
For the past few years, we've had the privilege to work on our version of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy and reimagine it into a single-player, story-driven, third-person action-adventure game. It's our own fresh take on the Guardians, and something that's really unique to our game is that you get to be Peter Quill. As Star-Lord, you're constantly in the middle of the action as you try to lead this band of misfits. But today, I'm really excited to have all of you join us on this journey, and you'll hear more about the game from our team behind this project.
Right, let's do this. I've always loved Marvel's cosmic characters. Growing up as a kid, I read them, enjoyed them, loved them. I had the opportunity to write for Marvel on some of their cosmic titles. I went back with the help of Bill Roseman, the editor, and kind of cherry-picked characters from Marvel's past.
The opportunity here was to build a team.
This is a bit strange that they're doing a Guardians of the Galaxy game, considering that, you know, Telltale already did one relatively recently. You'd think they'd lay like, well, maybe, well, it wasn't really recent, but maybe they'd think, let's pick something a bit different that hasn't had its own game at all yet, instead of like, Telltale's got their off-brand version of the movie. Here's our off-brand version of the movie, you know? Like the same characters, the same movie. And there's so much to draw from with Marvel.
Eidos were kind enough to show me. I think he's fantastic and absolutely.
And I mean, this looks fine.
What makes the gameplay
but whether it's gonna be like,
is no matter in what
it's really hard to be excited about it when Avengers, the Square's Avengers game ended up being not so great. This is a different developer now. I think about it. I think the other one is Crystal Dynamics. It's the like Tomb Raider and Gex guys.
Literally part of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, this is a totally different team. So maybe they'll do things differently.
React to what you do and say.
Gamora, no killing teammates.
That's who.
It's literally in your contract. I made no such commitment.
You are playing as Star-Lord and you're using your blasters and you're using your jet boots.
Star-Lord is really empowering. He's very agile on the battlefield. He can slide and over with his jet boots. Of course, he has his elemental blasters that have different powers as well. And on top of all of this, he can use the unique abilities of his Guardians.
We're not pirates. We're legally incorporated heroes for hire.
Gardeners of the Galaxy?
What? No.
The story
already made that
is about
joke.
a group of misfits, the Guardians. In our world, they've been together for less than a year. They create something on a small scale that looks insignificant. And as they progress through the story, they discover that they created something really big that threatens the galaxy.
There are a lot of very interesting villains in the Marvel franchise. And when you're starting to work on a story like this, you get to get your pick of which ones will make the best for this story. That gives us the opportunity to bring in some that are well known, but some that are also not all that well known.
What Eidos is getting so right about them is capturing what it's like to be a misfit.
I'm
family.
trying to feel
You're also
optimistic
bringing
about
an
this. I really
amazing
am.
imagination to it. You're gonna see
I'm really
planets
trying to
and
just be like,
characters that are gonna
oh,
blow
Square
your
Enix and oh, Avenger, and
Interpreting it in its
not
own
dwell
way, I
on
think
how
makes
much
it
of a
feel
disappointment that
incredibly
game
fresh
supposedly
and
was, and how
exciting.
much that was
It's
just
not a matter of trying to replicate the
a
comic
weird
or trying to replicate the film.
third-person
It's trying to
action
take the medium
Destiny
you're
that
working
didn't
in
pay
and
off
make
at
the
all,
best
and
version
trying to
of
focus
Guardians
on
out
what
of
this
that.
is for what it
They
is.
made it fun,
Now
they
that
made
I've
it rock and roll.
taken a second to
They
realize that
delivered
it's a different
everything you
developer.
want in a Guardians game.
But if this is the Eidos Montreal, if that is Deus Ex, and I'm remembering that correctly, this is very different from that series, you know? That's also kind of interesting in that sense. I like how that book kind of looked like it had non-binary flag colors for a second there. This is still going.
37 units?
We appear to be 6,963 units short. If we intend to keep our ship, Peter Quill.
I know. We clearly need a plan.
What about selling Gamora's crap?
What?
Oh, come on.
Can I license out Space Invaders from Taito just for that badge, or is it... Like, it didn't look like it was off-brand generic, like, pixel shit, but actually
Team's in trouble.
looked like
Make no
Space Invaders.
I will sacrifice your head.
And take us to the majestic mountains of Kakarantara.
Guys, I think we should hear out Groot for once.
You know, the only problem with your plan is that Lady Hellbender only buys monsters, and you are not a monster.
Groot, are you really offering to...
No, he is not offering that, okay?
It could work.
Sell Groot? I guess we could bust him out after.
Absurd.
Also, Drax, I think that's his name anyway, doesn't look beefy enough to me. But that might just be because I'm used to the movie.
Is clearly the correct choice. He's cruel, sadistic, and his soul is filthy and filled with rage.
I vote we sell Groot.
I probably shouldn't compare this to the movie so much. Like, I know when it comes to superhero stuff, I'm like... To some people, I look like... I don't want to say normie,
Peter?
but... Yeah, like, I love superhero movies, I don't know shit about the comics.
Well, Rocket's definitely
And I'm
scarier on the inside.
fully aware that I don't know what I'm talking about as much as a lot of other people do with this stuff.
Okay, we get it.
All right, let's do this. Let's go sell a monster.
We're not
But
seriously
it's not just me that this sort of stuff looks like it's trying to capitalize on the movie's popularity, right?
That's not how women work.
Or weather.
We're flying the wrong way.
Yeah, he's not flying at all.
Guys, relax.
I suppose I don't really know what the comics for Guardians of the Galaxy specifically look like and how they, like, relative to the movie and how different they are compared to some of the other series anyway. Like the series that would have had bigger fan bases before the movies, like Spider-Man.
Let's just get closer. We'll figure it out on the way.
There is nothing to figure out. As beast merchants, we will easily gain access to Lady Hellbender.
Good. We've already got a beast. All that's left is the merchant part.
Good thing I put on my official merchant costume.
There is no such thing. Right?
The fact you ain't sure don't bode so good.
Whoa! That is some really crazy lightning out there. Never seen anything like it.
Meteorological suicide
Acting!
is what it is.
Well, that's probably just because they're trying to yell over the storm. That sounded a bit weird, I don't know. Most of the acting sounded fine. That was just a weird line, I guess.
Hey, is my jacket all right?
At least you got a jacket. Some of us are soaking here.
Less whining, more walking.
Hey, Stormlord, we ain't seriously walking through this. It'll take forever in this storm.
Stop complaining. The hardship will strengthen your spirit.
I face more than enough hardship. Thank you very much.
You are welcome, Feeble One.
We got this. Just don't fall and we'll be fine. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
A lot of this, like, dialogue is... Seems like it's trying a little bit too hard to be funny. The Guardians movies are legitimately really funny.
Everyone okay? We should have gone to Mako 4. I would be wary rodent.
You know what? I survived freaking Half-World. I think I'm scared of some little... What?
It's not alone. Get ready.
What are these things? They are amorphous vermin.
Shoot first, questions later.
Drop them, Gamora!
This won't hurt much.
Mess them up, Drax!
Some of this dialogue's not great.
This is the local fauna!
I've seen enough of this, honestly. It looks fine. It looks like it plays alright.
Oh, you rocket!
I got a sense for how it played, but it's funny how all these other trailers are just like too many cutscenes and CG, and it doesn't give me a sense for what the game is. Before we got given this extended gameplay preview or whatever this is, before that like title screen showed up, I got a pretty good sense of what the game was and thought, you know, that looks alright. And most of the pessimism just comes from the other Square Enix Marvel game and not actually anything I'm seeing here, you know? But hey, actually some trailers that show me what the game looks like. Okay, the game looks neat. I guess I'll have to wait for it to come out before I have anything else to think about it. Time to move on, right? No, we're still just watching someone's long play of it. All right.
Peter.
It's okay. He'll land on his feet. Ooh. I guess that only applies to cats.
You sons of sharks! Scut-busting act!
I am not familiar with these.
It's interesting that they're trying to put like Telltale stuff, even with the little like Rocket will remember that type shit in the corner.
Cut by 5%.
I want 10.
Like usually, I don't think I've seen much of that sort of thing so integrated into like another genre of game like that. Like it's an action game, but it has Telltale stuff in it as well.
Hear that?
Guys.
I got it.
I'm pretty sure there's some enemies in Bayonetta that look exactly like that, except they're in armor. Unless like the ribbon-like quality to them. But like those faces, that's just... Is it Grace and Glory or is that a different enemy? I think that might be a different one. But... something like that. Like there's a fire one and there's an electricity one and they have the claw weapons.
Is anything on this planet not trying to kill us? Guys, huddle up! Already missing the jiggle jellies.
I'm curious what music they're going to be playing here. Probably something from the 80s if it's like the movie.
This guy barely feels it.
Yeah, I smell it too. Come on, we got this. Perhaps these were sent by Lady Hellbender. Well, she can keep them. How come monsters are never friendly?
That is definitely in my top 10 fortresses.
Number 10.
Aren't you forgetting
Burger King for... It's like, ugh.
Oh, right. The cage.
The point of even getting the Flarkin thing was...
The MCA trigger. Like
All
devil
right,
trigger.
Rocket, time to put on your monster face.
I'm just reacting to shit on Trigger. Oh, on Trigger. On Twitter. I need to pay attention.
Better have one hell of a sales pitch.
No, I don't feel like there's much to pay attention to anymore. I've got the gist of what this game is, you know?
Right. We should try selling Groot instead.
Really?
This is an affront to democracy.
I just think that we might need Rocket on the outside for this one.
Yeah, we noticed.
You want to make that call, then you better not mess
There's been a couple of cute lines here and there.
You hang tight there, bud. When the time comes, I'll get you out of there.
I wonder how different these routes actually are, though. Like, they're putting enough emphasis on it, like...
Gamora, can you help me with this?
What? Why?
Like it's gonna be Telltale-like, in how different it is, but...
Come on.
Is it really, or is it gonna be more like... just tiny, minimal little interactions, like that don't make much of a difference in the story at all, like in, like Uncharted 4, just kind of put them there just for the sake of it.
Not bad. Not bad. Easy, big guy. So, how long before someone else wants to pull this thing? We are 60 clicks from the fortress.
I'd say closer to 75.
We got this! Rocky, what are you doing?
Oh, they're still going. They really confident. They really want to push this game.
Who's the monster now?
Like, I get it. Marvel's popular. The game looks fine. Uh-oh. Oh, we're fine.
Guardians of the Galaxy. How many times?
It's been 20 minutes.
do I have to kill you?
It's been 20 minutes. They've been focused on this one game.
That you thought
Ah.
you could rob me, Dweller. Feast upon them.
I hate being this pessimistic. I really do. This E3 just hasn't been doing it for me. Ugh. That's a AAA game, alright. Gotta have pre-order shit.
Now we're going to revisit two iconic brands that are being remastered for modern platforms. First up, relive the classic games in the Final Fantasy series.
Thank you.
Then get one more peek at
But this is
Legend of
games
Mana
plural,
ahead of
so a
its
lot of
June
these might
24th
just be
launch.
ports. Pixel Master, what is that? Oh. Ooh, we're putting all first 6 of them into one package. Hopefully there'll be decent versions and won't need... Oh, that's what we got. Steam Mobile. So, are they just the versions that are already on Steam that are being put into a bundle, or are they going to be different from that? Because some of those are not great ports. The Final Fantasy VI on there is like one of the really bad ones until you install all the fan-made mods, in which case it becomes like the best version of the game, probably. So if that's just going to be the same shit again as like the mediocre port of the mobile version, then ugh. But if it's actually a new remaster of some kind, then that'll be interesting. Also, Legend of Mana, that's a PS1 game that looks really cool. Oh my god, more Avengers shit.
Marvel's Avengers. The team at Crystal Dynamics is excited to share.
I guess it's a very like games as a service kind of game. I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't also a new Guardians game at the same time. It's a bit overkill, isn't it?
Avengers, secure that super weapon at all costs. Cosmic energy is building up.
Every second counts, people. Keep it moving.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
The licensed music's just been muted this time as it's replaced with something else, because it does feel weirdly empty.
Shutting you down, Monica.
Also, I just realized, it just occurred to me that Final Fantasy Remaster thing's not on console. It's mobile, which already has all these games on it, they're just bundling them up. And Steam, which already has all these games on it, they're just bundling them up. They're not putting any of them on Switch or PS4 or anything on PlayStation or Xbox. That's weird. Like, this trailer without any music is really weird. Didn't even put any generic music in there, just nothing. That just feels empty. Not like this is a game that I want to play anyway, because... No, I was optimistic about it when they first announced it. And then it came out, and it's like, no, apparently wasn't great. Why are they showing that logo again like it's going to introduce something new? Please tell me that's the...
I applaud your efforts to connect.
Please don't tell me they're announcing a third Marvel game.
As a man who has seen 3 Black Panthers fall,
Like you already said, I really like the Marvel movies. I like Marvel.
many eyes follow the path
Just
you are about to walk down.
space this stuff out a bit, you know? Oh god, that awkward silence.
Be honest. You just wanted to show off this suit.
It is Claw.
Brother, no!
Vibranium doesn't belong to you. You are right. Vibranium does not belong to me.
Doing an entire Black Panther game. Yeah, okay, it's an Avengers expansion. That makes more sense. It is weird how they showed that little bit of Final Fantasy and then they moved it back to Marvel. You think they do all the Marvel stuff closer together?
Global players a quick look at some of the games that will be available
And then,
in the coming months.
Good evening.
I really hope they're saving the main, some big Final Fantasy info towards the end.
Their reach is unlike anything.
Oh, a mobile Hitman game, okay.
Following Agent 47's
Thinking of another example of a game that I greatly respect, but haven't played much of myself, or might not play much of. Hitman's it.
From the shadows, and they will never know what hit them.
I heard the first sniper game was actually okay on mobile. Oh, Nier. Is that what this is? I don't actually know what this is. I'm just guessing. No, that's a mobile Nier game. Interesting. Oh, and now we're back to Final Fantasy again. Oh, are they spacing apart? Like more? No, it's just more mobile stuff, right? In complete silence. Have they muted music from their... Oh, there's some music. I feel like that's probably added in by Twitch, though. Like, to cover up for Square Enix's bizarre decisions. Oh! Oh no, this... Oh, this thing! Fucking Battle Royale Final Fantasy VII Remake! Why does that exist? I forgot about that. And I mean, if something's gonna get me to try a Battle Royale, it's probably this.
Today,
I mean, besides,
is giving you an exclusive
what was the
look
other
at
one I
epic
played?
world of Babylon's
Rec
Fall,
Room's Battle Royale
featuring
mode. I
fluid
mean,
combat,
Battle Royale
powerful
mode.
weapons, and a unique art style.
I just don't think I'm into Battle Royales, honestly. Platinum. I'm interested. Oh wait, no, they did Nier, didn't they? Well, they contributed to it in some way.
It was meant
This
to
doesn't
be
look like
a
anything like that,
tower
of course.
dreams. But
And this
for
is a Square
1,000
thing, so it's
more,
obviously not
it was
Bayonetta.
seen as a tower of ruin.
I just heard Tower and immediately thought Pandora's Tower. Another game to add to the list of games I want to play one of these days.
Ice, and the coldest of winds.
Eventually, the tower
It's got this neat
became
filter
a
over it to try and make it look like a
symbol of
painting.
unrelenting ambition.
It look kind of smudgy though.
Name is Babylon.
Is that all we're getting for that? No, there's some more.
Let's find out without further
We're gonna see what the actual game looks like, and it's a co-op game, and I have no one to play with, so immediately not for me. God damn it. That's fine. I'm sure it's fine. Platinum makes good shit.
If I'm to die, then I'll die for hope. For what little hope there may be.
I mean, if someone did tell me Platinum and Square are doing a thing together, I'd probably expect it to look a lot like this.
We're all prisoners of our subjective reality. Believe only what you see, and you're like to end up seeing only what you believe.
I like how there's like variety in the different kinds of British accents we're seeing here too. A lot of fantasy stuff, it's like this one specific brand of British accent that they just keep using over and over. That you like, oh, it's British, that's the European fantasy accent, it's the English accent. And then that's it. So here you're hearing a little bit more diversity, so that's nice. Looks neat.
This one now before you.
Now begins its tale of both hope and despair.
Now I just need some friends and I'm all set. Why did PS5 pop in like this game was already announced? Has this been announced? This is the first I think I've heard of it. Automata, is this good? That was very pixely. Makes me think this is a Switch port or something.
ニーオートマタでそれが証明できたんじゃないかなと思ってます。ニーオートマタのアクションをもっと楽しむためにどうしたらいいかって選ばれたジャンルがハック&スラッシュでした。のでこのゲームのコンセプトは端的に言うと、ニーオートマタのアクションでハック&スラッシュというジャンルを楽しむということになります。もちろん一人でも遊べるんですけど、4人で。
Okay, that's good. But it feels like it's this sort of thing. A lot of these things, like, yeah, you can play multiplayer, but they're so obviously designed for multiplayer. Did I say multiplayer twice, or did I imagine that? Whatever. So many of these games are like, yeah, it's a multiplayer game, but you can play it single player. Like, just, it's so obviously made to be played multiplayer, it doesn't feel right to try to get into it single player. Like, I'd be better off playing a game that's made to be played single player from the beginning, rather than just trying to play like a watered down version of a multiplayer game.
ハイファンタジー感というか、その上品さというところはすごい意識してくれっていうふうに言われましたね。カートゥーンチックにならないようにというか、リアルに本当に存在している人たちがいるかのような感じは意識しました。このゲームは運営型のゲームとして開発しています。発売後も定期的に新しいコンテンツを提供する予定です。ようやく皆さんに改めて発表できた。
Square's greedy capitalist business shit's got their claws in Platinum now. Like, continuously supporting games post-launch is good, but game as a service is not something that... It just makes me think of like microtransaction shit and games going on forever and ever. Like
major entry in the popular
Life is Strange. Yep, there we go.
True Colors. The team at Deck 9 is ready to give you a deeper look at Alex Chen's psychic
Wait,
power
was that
adventure.
the developers of Before the Storm?
Here's a look
Or
at the
that's
Life is
someone
Strange
else?
Remastered collection.
Feels so weird to be back. After 5 years, you're still mad.
Yep, I've already played these games. They're great.
What do you remember about us as kids? I think about us as little pirates, running and jumping through Arcadia Bay. We are awesome!
Especially like 2. Oh, that's... I guess that looks nicer.
Come on, let's dance! Or take my picture with your new camera.
I wonder who's actually doing this, because it's probably not
That's
Don't
Rachel
Nod, right?
Amber. After my dad died and you moved, I felt abandoned.
Oh, good. You're here.
Rachel saved my life. She was my angel. Something happened to her. We have to find her, Max. Holy shit. Max, what's going on? No! Whoa. I discovered I could reverse time.
Yeah, I mean, I've already played these games. There's not much to say about this. They're amazing games. Please play them. Like, they're a bit,
Whatever's going
they
on
try a little,
between us
like, they're
is
so
special.
blatantly obvious in some parts, like, written by, like, adults trying to write what they think teenagers speak like. And it sounds a bit off sometimes. Especially in the first game, but they do start to get a little bit better about that stuff. And the political stuff, like, I mean, I'm by no means the kind of person to complain about politics in games, but it is just the way it's written is a bit too... Oh, wait, oh, this doesn't have two, does it? I was going to say the way that they reference stuff like Trump's wall and stuff like that in Life is Strange 2 is a little too blatantly on the nose.
And the singing voice of Alex Chen in the
But still works. I still enjoy it. The story's still good. But I think this collection's just the first two.
You can see the love and
So it's Life is Strange and Life is Strange Before the Storm.
Life is Strange and Before the Storm. This collection
Looks better than the Sonic Colors remake, remaster does from what they've shown of that so far.
Breathing new life into these two beloved games. Back in March, we also revealed the next major game in the series, Life is Strange True Colors, a small-town supernatural mystery. Alex Chen must uncover the truth behind her brother's death, using her psychic power of empathy to unravel the shocking...
That is really silly that they call it that.
Today, we have a first look at Alex's unique power in action. Here's game director Zach Garris for more.
We're going to see how this actually works as a gameplay thing and not just a story thing, are we?
Alex's psychic power.
Because focusing more on story actually makes more sense for this kind of game.
Strange true colors. It impacts every
Still like to see how, like,
and every decision she makes.
How the emotional, like, psychic power actually affects the decisions you can make.
Unable to shut out the strong feelings of others, the fear, sadness, and anger of those around her, leading her to believe her power is a curse. In the wake of Gabe's death, Alex realizes the only way she can find the truth is to embrace her power.
I can't believe this is happening. And the only way to understand is to feel what he's feeling.
From the very start, you can use
Oh
Alex's
god, if
power
he's about to jump off that cliff and then you have to
gain an insight into people's
I can't imagine how difficult that would be to just be like, you have to feel suicidal now. Oh god. I don't want to ever feel like that ever again.
With the folk of Haven Springs, as well as sparking new dialogue options and events, as here from a scene very early on in the game.
Could make some really powerful story moments though, like imagining a character having to go through that. Not just them going through, you know, the first character going through this difficult emotion, but then putting a mind in the head of someone who's like, I don't want to feel awful, but I have to make myself feel awful to use this power.
Best thing that's ever happened to me. So please, help me out.
Max telling you a whole lot of bullshit.
Listen.
Thanks for telling me the truth, Alex.
But are we still together?
Are you serious? I need to get back to work.
Sure, Alex. We'll get out of your way.
When Alex encounters a particularly strong aura, she can reach out to actively connect with that person's emotions. This generates a nova, a supernatural flare that transforms the world around Alex into a reflection of that person's psyche. In this altered, emotionally charged state, Alex can experience fragments of thoughts and memories to get to the root of their issue. But not every emotional crisis can be easily dealt with. Some carry a dangerous, even life-threatening amount of power.
He's dead! I wish I were too.
No decision is easy, and the consequences will be felt across the game.
This anger could kill her. What if I could just take it away?
Using Alex's
It works like
power
that?
is the only way you can
I thought it just like copied their emotions, not sucked it out of them.
what would that do to her?
Interesting.
What would it do to me?
Or maybe she can do both.
Even if I can? Should I?
How far will you go in pursuit of that truth? The choice
Interesting.
is yours.
The fact that they called it the power itself, empathy, definitely makes it seem like this is going to be a bit too on the nose in some ways. Like, Life is Strange can often be, but it still looks interesting to me. I just wish they called the power something else.
Now. And if you choose the Ultimate Edition, you'll also receive the Life is Strange remastered.
Yeah, more pre-order shit. The game looks really nice.
Make sure to follow the Life is Strange social
I like the other
channels
Life is
for
Strange games enough that I'll probably pick this one up. I've been live for 40 minutes. The conference is pretty close to it.
We are excited to unveil a brand new title from Square Enix Japan.
Oh, okay. Hearts, huh? Not Kingdom Hearts, I imagine. And it's got character design by Nomura.
That's my mission.
Team Ninja?
Looks like
Nomura's working with Team Ninja.
You gonna make us go in there and find you?
Guess we'll just show ourselves.
He worked with Monolith as well, I suppose. That kind of surprised me, even if it was a much smaller role.
I want to kill chaos. I need to. It's not a hope or a dream. It's like a hunger.
This looks pretty cool.
Move aside! You're dust!
No, I should probably play more Team Ninja games.
You sure chaos is here?
Yeah, they can only squash monsters.
Like, I like character action stuff a lot, like, but there's still a lot of the really big, like, most famous games in that genre, like your Devil May Cry's, God of War's, and Ninja Gaidens that I haven't played much of.
The darkness is so thick I can taste it. This is it.
So the only game that's by Team Ninja that I've actually finished, well, I suppose besides like the free-to-play. Oh yeah, they do Dead or Alive as well, don't they? So I suppose I've been a few of them, but they're very short, like, arcade mode campaigns and fighting games, so I never really got good at that kind of fighting game. But I do enjoy those games on a very, very casual level. But yeah, other than... If it's not a fighting game, the only Team Ninja game I've finished is Other M, which is not, maybe not a great choice. But this looks really cool.
The prophecy's very own
So
warriors.
I'll probably go back and play the Ninja Gaiden games I haven't played.
He always wore such
Which is all of the 3D ones that they've done before I play this, but this looks really cool. It's just nice to see something to feel positive about for a change. I'm probably exaggerating how good this looks, just for the sake of, because I'm sick of being negative. I don't enjoy being negative. I don't want to be negative. I want to have fun. Huh? Oh, this is a Final Fantasy spin-off. Like, it's actually in Final Fantasy universe. I mean, you know what I mean. Some kind of Final Fantasy universe. That's interesting. Now we're talking. Intergrade. 7 remake. This is just stuff that's just come out already that they're just reminding you, hey, you can play this now. Oh, no, it's just a montage of stuff that's already out or that already has demos out. Oh yeah, World Ends With You. Forgot about that. I still gotta play the first one of those. And I've really got to, because it ties into Kingdom Hearts with the way it looks like it's probably going to tie more into Kingdom Hearts in the future. And you know, I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. Yeah, there we go. Where's more of that? Why is that in a sizzle reel? Wait, I thought this was only stuff you could play now, or play demos of now, or soon, or something. Is there a demo for 16 coming soon? That's all the 16 we get?
Thank you for joining us today. Keep an eye
Oh,
out
wow,
for news
that's...
about our next Square Enix Presents. I'm Matt Mercer, See you next time.
Okay. I guess I'll should probably switch over. Yeah, it looks like they're just dwelling on this screen. Like Twitch Game is just dwelling on this screen while I switch over. Man. They have some cool shit that they could tell us literally anything about, and they decided, like, we got more Life is Strange. That was the one of the two big things I wanted to see, so I'm happy about that. I guess this is kind of making me feel like the Microsoft one did, you know, like that one I really wanted to see Halo. We saw a bit of that, and then like barely anything else really spoke to me. And this is kind of like we saw Life is Strange stuff, the Final Fantasy stuff. We didn't see enough of that. This is still somehow probably better than the more to my taste in some ways than the Xbox one ended up being. But man, this E3 is just not doing it for me. That sucks. I hate being negative so much. I hate being all pissy and... But I'm not going to pretend to not be excited about stuff. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be excited when I'm not. It's just... But a lot of the time at the E3, I'm like... I watch some of these press conferences and presentations, and I think some of them are... And think, oh, this E3 is just okay. You know, there's some good stuff, but it's just okay. And then we get to Nintendo, and I'm like, whoa, holy shit, look at all this stuff that is more the sort of thing I want to play. Maybe that'll happen again this year. Nintendo will have some really cool stuff to reveal. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo's at the top for me again this year, but I mean, they're still not at the top every single year for me, you know? Like that year that Sony, back when Sony was still doing stuff for E3, and they had the conference where they revealed like Shenmue 3 and The Last Guardian and FF7 Remake and whatever year that was insane. Like that's the sort of shit that made me want to bother doing these streams at all. Was how excited about that sort of stuff I got. I wanted to be able to capture that excitement. I wanted to be like, share how much I love this sort of stuff. I didn't want to share all this negativity and disinterest, and that's not what this stuff is about. Well, it's not meant to be for me anyway. I like video games. That's why I do this shit. Now, most of the time by this point there'd be like a mix of some stuff that I really want to see and some stuff that isn't for me, and I wouldn't be over the moon generally, but there'd be some things that I'm happy to see. There just hasn't been anywhere near as much. Not for me anyway. It might, it's hard to say how much of that is just me. The other people on Twitter seem to be pretty disappointed, but I mean that happens that happens every year. You know, you're never going to be able to please everyone. Or at least not completely. Like if one of these companies just did a stream that was nothing but stuff that I really wanted to see, then it's going to be full of stuff that someone else doesn't, you know? So you got to have some variety in there. It can't all just be, this is the stuff that this one kind of audience with this one kind of taste in games wants to see, and let's ignore everything else. But there needs to be more of a balance, and this thing had like half an hour at least worth of Marvel stuff. Like, I like Marvel movies. I like some other kind of Marvel games. The Spider-Man 2 game's good. I didn't play as much of it, but what is that? Insomniac, like their Spider-Man game's really good. MVC, I love Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2. There's good Marvel games. And the movies are great. I love Marvel movies. These games just feel like, hey, remember the Marvel movies? Here's like a soulless, generic video game-ass video game in the most typical AAA way they possibly could, without much soul put into it. And it's based on whatever kind of is based on these movies that are super popular, and
Let's get scratching.
I don't know. Tomorrow. Nintendo's tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll have something to be excited about, hopefully. I'll try not to get my hopes up too much because there's stuff that I'd like to see even from them that I wouldn't expect to yet. And it's not like everything Nintendo does I'm over the moon with. But they tend to be more likely to be up my alley. I feel like I've been saying the phrase up my alley a lot these past few streams. Anyway, like half that presentation was Marvel stuff. We didn't need that. There's tiny little glimpses of Final Fantasy stuff. That new like Team Ninja Final Fantasy thing. I don't think it got a name. That looked cool, but I'm interested to learn more about that one. And Platinum's got something cool happening as well, but you know, it's a co-op game. I don't have anyone to play there to play it with. And I'm not going to play a co-op game single player just because it has that mode in it when that's obviously not the intended experience. Maybe I'm being a little too hard on this. Just a little. Because, I mean, I have been a bit disappointed by the other conferences. This one still had some more of the things that I wanted to see, relatively, than some of these other ones. I don't know if I'm just being too hard on this conference because I'm being bummed out by the other ones, or if this one's really that bad, or if it's a little bit of both. It's probably a bit of both. And yet, this is the second time recently, because both Sonic and Final Fantasy have had recent announcements of a collection of like the original games on those series. And they've shown so little of what that actually is going to be, and just kind of frustrated and confused people. Because with the Sonic thing, it was like they didn't have footage of a proper remastered like port of 3 and Knuckles like they did the other games. But then on Twitter, one of them was like, 3 and Knuckles will be in widescreen, which to me means most likely there's going to be an actual Taxman, like retro engine port of 3 and Knuckles finally. But they didn't really make that clear. Like, if they knew their fan base better, they would be like, this is a retro engine port. This is going to be to the engine they made that's run Sonic Mania. These are the mobile versions of Sonic 1 and 2 that run in the same engine. And CD. We're not just throwing a bunch of games in an emulator again. But the thing for Sonic, just it looks like the footage was just emulated footage of 3 and Knuckles because like maybe they didn't have a remaster ready yet. But they didn't make that clear, so it just looks like, oh, they're just not bothering to do a proper remaster of the best game in the series. In Final Fantasy, it doesn't, like, they didn't show any kind of gameplay. They didn't even have, well, I guess they were like these windows floating around the screen, not like a good full screen look at what the games would actually look like. But it was, I'd have to like go back and look really closely at those to figure out how much of that is like the same as the versions that are already on mobile or that are already on Steam, and you know, some of those are based on like the PSP ones or the DS ones, so how similar are they to that? Like, you know what, I'm gonna see if I can find a trailer for that now. Maybe I can get a closer look at it. How fucking long have I been muted? Oh my god, how long have I been muted? I've just went on this long ass rant about fuck, I'm really not in the mood for repeating all of that. I just got like really heated and went on this long ass rant about like this new version and how shit it is that they just showed these little windows of it instead of showing the full gameplay. But if you look closely, it looks like they're actually like doing sort of like a pixel remaster like thing like they did on mobile, except on mobile they added this ugly smear filter and all this shit. And then once you mod the shit out of the PC version, which is based on that mobile version, you can actually make it really look nice with custom sprites that are based on the same style as the mobile remake, but without the, or remaster, without the smearing. How much of that was I bloody muted for? Oh, God. Oh, I feel like such an idiot. It's 6:30 AM and I'm getting myself this worked up. Anyway, I need to be going to bed. It'd be so much worse knowing that was for nothing. But this looks pretty nice. Once you mod this, get rid of the smear, touch up the sprites, make the HUD look a little bit more like the original game. This is actually like they have the little hint system that shows up. I forgot how I ran from battle before. I just mashed random keys on the keyboard because I normally play this with a controller. This, like, it looks retro and in touch with the original game style, but it still looks really good. Like, it still looks, it looks like the original game style, but it still looks like it's touched up, like it's somewhat of a remaster. And I appreciate that a lot, and I think this looks really nice. And if they're giving, like, every Final Fantasy game, like 1 through 6, this kind of treatment, except it's in proper widescreen now, and like the HUD's redone so it's not an awkward mobile HUD that then has to be modded but still kind of functions awkwardly. Like if that's, and then they're making a widescreen and it's actually probably more like the PSP versions than these like Steam and mobile ones. That's great. They should have put so much more attention to this thing in the actual presentation because this looks really cool. Because I'm really happy with the modding efforts the fans have gone to with 6 and probably a bit with 5 as well. And it looks like in a lot of ways, I don't know how much I'm repeating because I don't know how much of this is stuff that I don't know how much of this is stuff that I've already said that actually wasn't muted. So it feels really awkward because I'm like repeating myself, but I don't know how much of it you already heard. Okay. Now it's all awkward and shitty. God damn it. What's a roll? I actually had like a rant that I was like proud of that was coming out, and then I just was like, oh God, I didn't record any of that. Oh well. Wonder if I'll cut out some of this stuff on the YouTube version or not. I'll decide tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it before the Nintendo thing, maybe I won't. But these tiny little glimpses we can see here of these remasters, how they basically just look like the PSP versions or like the Steam versions with mods to make the Steam versions not look shit, but then they've got a HUD that's actually designed for controllers on top of that, but also they're on mobile, so it probably has a better HUD for mobile even than the one that was designed for mobile on the other versions of these games. This is actually really nice, and the fact that they gave 30 seconds to this and like 30 plus minutes to Marvel stuff that just looks like it's trying to cash in on the popularity of the movies and doesn't have a lot of its own identity that sucks. And this whole conference kind of, even though they did have some really good stuff to show off, they show too much fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. Why did they show 20 minutes of that and then 30 seconds of this thing, which actually looks really cool? And then there's that other Final Fantasy spin-off thing with Team Ninja that looks really cool. They showed a decent amount of that. They showed a decent amount of Life is Strange, but they're just, the Marvel stuff just way overshadowed it. Just the big corporate this is what's popular, this is what's gonna get us views, I mean, sales type shit, first and foremost. And then it's like they've forgotten where this company came from, you know? I forgot that Final Fantasy made this company. But these releases, I mean, these remasters actually, from the tiny little glimpses that we can get, they look nice. They look like they're going to be the best way to play these games in the future. Though it sucks that they're Steam and mobile only, because that would be a really good fit for Switch. But, you know, at least they're on something that's not just mobile. And I think mobile still has potential as a regular video game platform. It just doesn't have a lot of regular-ass video games on it. And isn't the easiest to set up a decent controller with. Because the clamp grip style controllers things for phones are way overpriced, especially in Australia. And getting and attaching like a regular like Xbox or PlayStation controller to a phone with like the metal hook thing is really awkward. If you just have like a Switch-like thing on an Android device, and then there were more like regular video game-ass games for it and less typical mobile fare, then like Android phones especially have potential to be like a really damn good game system, and it's just not really taken advantage of enough. But you know, so with all that in mind, this probably should just be on. This probably should be on Switch. Like, I know how cliche it is to be like, bring everything to Switch. This should be on Switch, that should be on Switch, is all some people seem to care about. But this particular set of games, you know, they're simple 2D games, so the Switch can handle them well. It's not like a big AAA thing that's going to be scaled down. And, you know, long RPGs are, I think, good choices for games that you can play on the go. You play a little bit of in bed, just because they're so long, and a lot of the time there's so much side stuff to do. You can just like open up like Xenoblade 2 on the Switch, do like a bit of a side mission and then turn it off while you're like, when you just have a moment, you know? Like that sort of stuff's really good for the Switch. This makes sense to be on Switch. This isn't just, this game I like it so I want it on the Switch because I want things on the Switch just because the Switch is good. Like this is a game that makes sense. And it's right now it is weird that it's just Steam and mobile, but it'll probably get ported to other stuff later, you know, like other Final Fantasy stuff's on Switch. Like I think 7, 8, and 9 are. Anyway, I'm tired. My throat's sore. It's 6:30 in the morning. I need to go to bed. I'm not going to be able to sleep because I'm all hyped up because of video game shit. But here we are. Hopefully those remasters end up being as good as I can barely make out they look to be. Life is Strange is looking great. Yeah, disappointing that there's no FF6. Not surprising there's no FF7 Remake 2, but not surprising there's no 14 stuff because they had their own, like, convention thing where they announced a bunch of stuff just for that game already. No Kingdom Hearts stuff isn't a surprise, but you know, that's add that to a list of things that would be nice and are probably coming within the next few years, but don't get your hopes up. So yeah, Nintendo is tomorrow at a better time than this one. And I'm going to switch to screen. Where is it? There we go. Still don't have an end screen. And I'm not going to have one tomorrow either. Maybe I'll talk more about the stuff I want to see from Nintendo then, but at this point, I don't know what to expect anymore. I just hope it's less disappointing than a lot of this E3 has been for me personally. And no, I don't fucking expect him to do the Switch Pro shit. I'm so sick of hearing about the Switch Pro. Over and over and over again. We don't know if that even exists. It's just rumors. The same rumor over and over and over again. There's a Switch Pro, there's a Switch Pro, it's gonna be announced soon, we promise, we promise. Just shut up. I'm so sick of it. Ugh. Video games, man. I'll be back for Nintendo tomorrow. And I think it's around 3 a.m.-ish my time. So, see you then.